There's just something about the last day of school that brings out all the worst in people. Listen to these 3 scary true last day of school horror stories. 3. The Forgotten Locker. It was the last day of school. Mia had just finished her final exam and was heading to her locker to clean it out before summer break. As she walked down the nearly empty hallway, she heard what sounded like faint sobbing. She stopped and listened. It definitely sounded like someone was in distress, but it wasn't coming from any of the occupied classrooms, and there was no one outside by the windows. The sound seemed to be coming from behind a row of lockers, but when Mia looked around, there wasn't anyone hiding behind them. Curious and a little creeped out, Mia approached the lockers and pushed the one closest to her open. Behind it was nothing but a dusty, cobweb-filled alcove leading to a stairwell. But as she turned to leave, she noticed something strange. One of the lockers was slightly ajar. As she peered inside, she saw a large old yearbook. Pulling it out, she flipped through the brittle pages until she saw a photo of herself. Her face was circled in red marker. Then, as if the hairs on the back of her neck hadn't already been standing on end, the locker door slammed shut behind her, trapping her hand. Struggling to free herself, she started to panic. Where was the janitorial staff? Why was this locker stuck? Was someone messing with her? Eventually, she was able to pry the door open enough to slip her hand out. Adrenaline pumping, she sprinted out of the room. She told the school authorities about the incident, but they just gave her a weird look and told her to go home. When they checked the security footage, they saw Mia approaching the locker, but when she turned around, there was no one behind her. And when she opened the door, they could have sworn they saw her talking to an empty hallway. They never did figure out what happened to her or why the locker slammed shut. But one day, when someone else went to clean out that same locker, they spotted a ghastly reflection in its metal surface, which seemed to stare back with a sorrowful expression. Number 2, the last ride home. After spending the entire day celebrating their graduation party, a group of friends decided to take the late bus home instead of having their parents pick them up. There were only about 10 passengers on board, including the driver. The entire ride was unnerving because he never spoke a word and just stared intently at the rearview mirror. Normally, the bus followed a straight route, but the driver took several wrong turns, eventually leading the passengers to an old, closed-down elementary school. People started to get freaked out because the driver's reflection in the mirror didn't move whenever he turned his head. All of a sudden, the bus lurched forward and turned toward the old school. Everyone gasped as the doors ahead of them slowly locked. The driver turned around, revealing a maniacal grin and eyes that glowed red in the darkness. Passengers screamed as the bus crashed through the doors and onto the overgrown lawn. The driver vanished and the engine turned off. They searched for him, but he was nowhere to be found. In the morning, the bus was discovered empty with the engine still running, the doors wide open. One survivor's phone showed a text message they received that night. It read, "You should have walked." No one, the yearbook signing. Daniel was flipping through his brand new yearbook, laughing at the silly messages his friends had written to him. Then he stopped. He distinctly remembered reading that message, but he couldn't recall who wrote it. Confused, he asked some of his friends if they knew who Sarah was, but they all shook their heads. Determined to get to the bottom of this mystery, Daniel pored through the yearbooks, old and new, searching for Sarah's name. Finally, he found it. He spotted a photo of Sarah from the 1980s class. She was smiling, but what unnerved Daniel the most was that she was staring directly at him. Later that night, Daniel was home alone. He was lying in bed trying to sleep, but the mysterious Sarah kept him awake. He heard a knock at his bedroom door. He opened it to find it creaking open on its own. A whisper echoed through the room. It said, "You didn't let me sign your yearbook." Daniel slammed the door shut, convinced it was just the wind. But the next morning, his yearbook lay open on his desk. It had a new signature in it. It was Sarah's. But how did she do it? The signature was in dried blood. Now, watch. What's the scariest thing that's happened to you at school? Or click this other video instead.